Summer's not that far off and the kids are already thinking vacation. Will you be ready for it? Hi, I'm Rob West. How can you make great family memories without breaking the budget? That's always the challenge. But Crystal Paine joins us today with some great tips for a budget-friendly family vacation. And then it's on to your calls and questions at 800-525-7000. That's 800-525-7000. This is Faith and Finance, biblical wisdom for your financial journey. Well, our friend Crystal Paine is our guest today. She's a sister in Christ, the creator of the very popular website MoneySavingMom.com and a frequent contributor here at Faith and Finance. And we're delighted to have you back, Crystal.
Thank you so much for having me back.
All right, Crystal, today we're talking all about having a great family vacation while sticking to a spending limit. And I know you've got some tips for us, so let's dive in. What's first?
So the first step is always planning ahead. Start early to maximize your options. Consider traveling to an area that's not on the beaten path for fewer crowds. And if you're flying, I love to use the Google flight search. You can choose your dates of when you want to go, and then you can choose to fly anywhere to see the lowest options available around the country during those dates. So it's just really helpful to figure out where would be the best place to go for the best price. And then also to set a clear budget for your entire trip and decide what's important for you and what's not. So maybe staying at the beach is a priority, but you're happy to bring food instead of going out to eat.
Yeah. For your household, do the kids get in that conversation when you're picking the where?
Absolutely. Yes, they do. I just took my daughter on a spring break trip recently, used the Google flight search, and she said, I don't care where we go. I just want to go to a beach.
I love it. That's so good. All right. Well, obviously not having a plan can be very expensive. So I love that first tip. What's tip number 2?
So this is going to really save you money, and that's to take advantage of free activities. So these can be the hidden gems of any vacation. You can search online for your destination, plus the words best free things to do or something similar like that. And you usually find a lot of great ideas. I do this often, and you can look into hiking options, self-guided walking tours, local parks. Some even museums are free, or art exhibits, or even free festivals or concerts.
Crystal, are you using AI tools to build itineraries, or are you just still doing an internet search and then kind of building it yourself?
I haven't used AI yet, but I use AI a lot for my business, and I keep hearing from so many of my friends who are using it for planning trips. So I want to try it.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I think the free options are often overlooked, and it's a great reminder that there's some great things that'll be really memorable that we don't need to miss. All right, what's next?
So get the family involved in planning would be tip number 3. We talked a little bit about, letting our kids choose where they want to go, but maybe that's just allowing them to choose an activity. You're not going to be able to do everything where you go, and you can't always know what your family members would love to do. So ask them what's important to them. Let them help with the planning. And also a fun thing to do is give everyone a set budget. Let them plan a few hours of the vacation with that budget. That's a great way for kids to learn practical skills, and they can also appreciate how much things cost.
Totally. That's a great idea. So practical, and it allows everyone to have a piece of the vacation that their interests are going to be reflected. So that's really good. All right. What about tip number 4?
So that's to be strategic about your meals. Food can cost a lot if you let it. Really paying attention to that. We like to stay in a hotel that offers a free breakfast and then bring snacks and food from home for at least one meal a day. That way we usually only eat out once a day, and that saves a lot of money. Another thing that we've done a lot, especially if you're flying and you can't bring as much food with you, go to the grocery store when you get into town and pick up stuff for sandwiches. For instance, buying a loaf of bread, a jar of peanut butter and jelly, some chips, carrots, fruit. It's usually going to be a lot less expensive than if you were to go and eat out.
Yeah, and part of traveling is just having fun, splurging with a nice meal, but let's be strategic about which meals those are, and I think picking up some things at the grocery store for lunch is a great way to do that. All right, we've got time for just one more, about 30 seconds. What is it?
Okay, back to the budget. Set a daily spending limit at the beginning of the trip. Make sure you know what your daily spending limit is. View it as a sort of family game. See how far you can stretch this amount every day and stay under budget. This is a really fun way to get your kids involved, to help them think intentionally about purchases, and to make budgeting a fun family affair.
I love it. Well, and the best vacation is the one you come home to that doesn't have any debt involved, no credit cards that you're still paying on. Crystal, this has been so helpful as always. Thanks for stopping by today.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's family finances expert Crystal Paine. Learn more at moneysavingmom.com. That's moneysavingmom.com. We'll be right back.
We're grateful for support from Guidestone, whose diversified suite of investment solutions align with Christian values to create positive change in the world. More information is available at guidestonefunds.com/faith. Investing involves risk, including potential loss of principal. Carefully consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of Guidestone funds before investing. They're distributed by Foresight Funds Distributors, LLC, which is not an advisory affiliate, a registered investment advisor, nor do they provide investment advice.
Feeling burdened by credit card debt? As faithful stewards, we are called to manage our finances wisely. Christian credit counselors can help with a debt management program that allows you to pay off debt up to 80% faster, while honoring your commitments with integrity. Don't let debt hold you back from the life God has planned for you. Take the first step toward peace and financial freedom today. Visit ChristianCreditCounselors.org. That's ChristianCreditCounselors.org.
Great to have you with us today on Faith and Finance. Looking forward to taking your questions today. What's on your mind in your financial life? Call right now. The number is available and ready for you at 800-525-7000. Again, that's 800-525-7000. Whether you're thinking about your budget today or paying down some debt, maybe it's giving wisely or investing for the future, which seems to be more challenging than ever, at least in the short term. Good thing investing should be long-term in nature. So what is on your mind today? Let's talk about it. 800-525-7000 is the number to call. We'd love to tackle your questions, and our team is standing by so you can get through right now. We're going to begin in Virginia today. Hi, Donna. Go right ahead.
Hi. I love your program, and I really benefit from it, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
I just set up a new account at a brick-and-mortar bank because I've been using a credit union.
Okay.
And I set up a savings and a checking, and the person at the bank told me that I should use my debit card that they would issue me for paying my bill. But I've always been paying on bill pay with my credit card, and I think somehow it's more secure. So what is your advice about using debit card versus credit card when you're doing your monthly bills on bill pay?
Yeah, it's a great question, Donna. And actually, as long as you're paying it off at the end of every month, in the case of the credit card, and you're not carrying a balance, which means you're using it for budgeted items and the money's there, I actually think from the viewpoint of security, it's best to use that credit card, not the debit card, to pay your monthly bills. Because here's why. If it's used fraudulently, you can only be held responsible for $50 if you report it timely. But even bigger than that is the idea that, the money with the debit card, if it's compromised, gets pulled out of your account. And then you have to wait for that investigation to play out for them to then put the money back in. But in the case of the credit card, it never leaves your account. It's there temporarily, noted on the financial account. You dispute it, you never pay it, you're never out the money. The problem with that debit card is it's coming out of your checking account, and until it's put back in, there's often all kinds of other ramifications. You may have, other bill pays that, go out of your checking account. Maybe a check is issued on a periodic basis or on a recurring basis. And now if that money's not there, you risk being overdrawn. So yeah, I'm with you. I think from a security standpoint, the credit card is the better option for you in terms of just overall safety.
Yeah, and I thought that too, but I wondered why this man at a nationwide bank would give me that advice. I mean, I'm puzzled by it.
Yeah.
I have a son-in-law who's in security, and he wanted me to get out of the credit union because he said, credit unions are not big. It's a local credit union. You need something with a bigger security team behind them. And if I have to help you, I'm across the country. I can do it here because they have branches here. So, go ahead and set up a new account. Well, I thought this was a good bank to work with, and now I'm puzzled by it. So I'm just going to get one of their credit cards. I don't know if that matters. I guess I could use the one I had, except it's under my husband's, the owner of the account. So establishing the credit, all the credit benefit goes to him every time we're using two of the major cards that we use. And I'm an account manager, but I'm not getting the benefit of paying the bills on time and getting the credit score that he is.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get it in my name.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. You want that reported on a timely basis to your credit report, and the most recent information impacts you the most. But no, I'm totally with you. I like the protections you've got here, and I think from a fraud protection standpoint, credit cards, there's no doubt they offer the stronger legal protections under the Fair Credit Billing Act. Your liability is no more than $50. There's a clear dispute process, and if you're compromised, again, that thief with the debit card has instant access to real funds. With a credit card, it's just borrowed money. So a big difference there. To Louisiana. Hi, Tanya. Go right ahead.
Thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure.
One question that I have a 401k, and I want to go deeper into stocks. I do know that the stock market is dropping, but I remember when the stock market dropped a whole lot more than it is now.
Right.
And furthermore, I'm very confident about our economy, more so confident in God, and I believe that He will give us the victory. And then not only that, but if we sink or swim, we all do it together as a world economy. So I would like to go into stocks about maybe 30%, a 30-70 split right now. Yeah. But I'm wondering if I'm getting in too soon, or should I allow a little bit more time for them to go lower?
Yeah. You know, it's a great question, Tanya. And first of all, I really appreciate you acknowledging that, God is ultimately our provider. And, I think ultimately long term, there's a lot of good reason to continue to be an investor in the U.S. and in this economy. And I think a lot of the things that are happening now, even though we may have some short-term pain, will result in a stronger economy over the long haul. I wish I was smart enough to say whether this is the moment to go in. As soon as I tell you that, it's going to be down more tomorrow or next month or next quarter. And as soon as you wait, it might go straight up from here. And the reality is nobody knows. And that's why I would encourage you, Tanya, to be systematic in your investments. And so this idea of dollar cost averaging is a really powerful tool. And it basically says, okay, whatever the amount is you can put in over a 12-month basis, let's take 1/12 of that and then just go into the market, every month. And you're going to buy when the market's down, you're going to buy more shares with the same amount of money. When the market's up, you're going to buy less shares. But the idea is that none of us are smart enough to pick the bottom or the top or the right entry point. But what we can say is that we know the long-term trajectory is going to be up. It always has been, despite the financial crisis, despite the dot-com bubble burst, despite the housing crisis, despite the oil embargoes. I mean, you name it. We've had it, the Great Depression. The market has always recovered and gone to new highs. And so I think you being a systematic investor, not trying to pick the jump in here and jump out there, because none of us know when that point is. But I think you being consistent over time, even right now, to make a contribution for this month, even though we know it might go lower, I think is still wise as long as we have the long-term perspective in mind. And by long-term, I mean decades, not quarters or years. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. It makes total sense. And I just had to figure out what my strategy was going to be. So Thank you so much. That helps a lot.
All right,
and,
Tanya.
Thank you all for all you do. And again, I'd just like to say we walk by faith and not by sight.
Absolutely. Lord bless you. Thanks for being on the program today. Hey, stay on the line, Tanya. I want to send you a gift. We're going to send you a copy of our most recent magazine, Faithful Steward, issue 1, that I think will be a real encouragement to you as you just immerse yourself in God's word around your role as a steward. Let's see. We're going to take another break here in just a moment. We also have other lines open today in our final segment. We'd love to tackle your question or hear your testimony. Maybe God's been at work in your financial life. You'd like to share that with our listeners as an encouragement today. The way to do that, just head to the phones and call us right now at 800-525-7000. That's 800-525-7000. By the way, if you'd like to connect with an advisor, we talk often here about investment advisors. Often we talk about financial planning issues. so many of these issues require a trusted financial professional, and I would go a step beyond that to say a competent financial professional who shares your values as a Christ follower. Well, that's the CKA designation, Certified Kingdom Advisor, and you can find a CKA in your city when you go to faithfi.com and click Find a Professional. That's faithfi.com. We'll be right back.
What if managing your money could actually draw you closer to God? What would happen if we began to see God as our ultimate treasure? The FaithFi app helps you do more than budget. It helps you integrate your faith and financial decisions for the glory of God. With easy-to-use envelope features, top biblical financial content, and a supportive in-app community, you'll learn to steward God's resources wisely and grow in generosity. Download the FaithFi app today from your app store or visit faithfi.com and click app.
Faith and Finance is grateful for support from Sound Mind Investing. If you have money in an investment account, you know sometimes the stock market can seem like a roller coaster. But it's possible to enjoy both profit and peace of mind as a do-it-yourself investor, no matter what's happening in the market. A short video webinar about that is available at soundmindinvesting.org. Financial wisdom for living well. soundmindinvesting.org.
Thanks for joining us today on Faith and Finance. Looking forward to taking your calls and questions here in our final segment. We've got room for you. Actually, some lines open right now. So if you have a financial question today, this would be a great time to call. 800-525-7000. Again, that number is 800-525-7000. I may be able to get to as many more as 3 additional phone calls when you call right now, 800-525-7000 with your financial questions. To Florida. Hi, Phyllis. How can I help?
Hi there. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure.
I hope you can hear me okay.
I sure can.
I just got a question about annuities. It's funny because every time I come home from work, I listen to you constantly. And thank you so much for being on the air. And, you're always saying annuities. And then I come home and I tell my husband, he's like, no. So we talked to somebody yesterday and they talked to us about an annuity. Boy, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, but it's locked into some kind of, I guess it's called Athena, and it's locked into some kind of care that if you need it for long-term care type insurance type thing. We sounded really interested in that, and I just didn't know a whole lot about it. And I just wondered, being in our early 60s, is it too late? And maybe is it a good idea? Is it not a good idea? Help me out.
Yeah, very good. Well, let me just back up and clarify a little bit. I mean, we do talk about annuities a lot here, mainly because we get a lot of questions about them, but I'm pretty consistent in saying, although I'm not someone who says avoid annuities at all costs, I'm also quick to say they're really not my favorite tool. And I generally don't recommend them for most people because even though they have their place, they tend to have high fees. They limit your liquidity, meaning once you commit the money, it's hard to get it out early, which just limits your options. They're complex. So they're, lots of fine print and, they are tied to what are called sub-accounts that fluctuate depending on the type of annuity. And, the fine print is often, not understood fully by the annuitant. And, there's a loss of control. There's even inflation risk because the annuity may not keep up with the rising costs over time. Now, where they have a place is for somebody who says, I just want to transfer the risk away from the market, the stock market, to an insurance company. I'm risk averse. These certainly do fit that bill. And you can get some tax-deferred growth and then ultimately some guaranteed income. But again, these are not my first choice. Now, what you're talking about essentially is a combination of an annuity that has long-term care features. And I think long-term care is something to think about where, you are able to consider that your biggest risk in this season of life is just the dramatic rising costs of long-term care. And we know that 70% of Americans 65 and older will need long-term care for some amount of time, usually 2 to 3 years. And it can run $10,000 a month if you need nursing care. And that's today's prices. It's only going up from here. And so essentially, an annuity product with a rider for long-term care would kick in if you need long-term care and you can't perform what they call the daily activities, daily living activities, or you suffer a cognitive issue. And then that rider could take the normal income that the annuity was providing and double your income payments or provide a higher withdrawal amount. I don't know about that particular one you mentioned, but if you are interested in the various options for long-term care, I would visit with a certified Kingdom advisor there in Florida to look at all of your options, because you may be better off buying a straight long-term care insurance policy. You could look at a whole life policy with a long-term care option, or you could look at an annuity with a long-term care option. And depending on your situation, one may be better than another. So I know that's a lot of information, Phyllis, but is that helpful at all?
Yeah, it is. I would like to kind of research that a little bit more. I mean, both of us are really healthy. His mom is 87 and she's in an independent living. So, and she's got the money to be able to pay for that herself, but I don't think that could ever happen for us. And, you never know. So I just want to be prepared. So
I certainly get that. And I think that's wise to be thinking that way, Phyllis. And to your point, I mean, you've got longevity on your side. You're in good health. You may decide you want to essentially self-insure, but, obviously the extent to which you want to offset that risk and you've got the cash flow to do it, it may be worth looking at a long-term care insurance policy. They are expensive, and you've got to be able to not only absorb the premium today, but you've got to be able to absorb the future premium increases, which has been a consistent theme with these policies. So I think that's why you need to do this in the context of some really well thought out, comprehensive financial planning. And then perhaps that financial planner could bring in a long-term care insurance agent who really specializes in that area. So here's what I'd recommend. Go to our website, faithfi.com, click Find a Professional, connect with a certified Kingdom advisor there in Florida, and just ask about some planning around how you will pay for long-term care insurance should you need it down the road. And be sure to check back with us if you have further questions. May the Lord bless you. We're going to finish out the broadcast today in Ohio. Brian, you've been waiting patiently, sir. Go ahead.
Hey, Rob. I just got a quick question here about where to put our emergency fund. We have a money market account with a decent amount of money in. My wife's paycheck goes into that, and then we also pay our mortgage out of that. But I wondered if that was a safe place for it, or if there's a better option for, holding our emergency fund.
Yeah, it's a great question. First of all, kudos to you for having an emergency fund. Second, I love that one of the paychecks is going straight into savings. That's always a good practice and a pretty good sign that you all are managing things well. I think you want two things, safety and you want return, right? You want yield. So as to the safety piece, money market mutual funds, if that's what it is, are fairly safe. I mean, the whole idea is that they're pegged to $1, and so they never, lose value. They never go up or down, above or below $1. They every now and then will, quote, break the buck. It doesn't happen often, but it can if one of these fails. And so you potentially have some risk there, although it's very low. What would be more safe would be a money market account, which carries the FDIC insurance, or just a high-yield savings account. So I would say, as to safety, if you could find something that has the FDIC insurance or the NCUA insurance for a credit union, that would be better. As to the yield, I would just make sure, you're getting something that's competitive, and you could, check bankrate.com just to see what the prevailing yields are. And what you would find is if you went there today, you would find that the very best rates that are out there right now are around 4.5%. And so if you're in the neighborhood of 4.25 to 4.5, you're right there. So then it's just a matter of safety, and I'd be looking for that FDIC insurance. So, but other than that, keep up the good work, my friend. We appreciate your call today. God bless you. Folks, thanks for being along with us today. So thankful that we got to address so many of your questions today, really digging into God's Word and really thinking about how we can be that wise and faithful steward. Big thanks to my team today. I certainly couldn't do this without them. On behalf of Devin Patrick, my producer, Sandy Dickinson, who manages our phones so well, and Mr. Jim Henry, who's serving me with great research and direction, and everybody here at FaithFi. May God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Faith and Finance is provided by FaithFi and listeners like you.